Hey guys, it's the Vegan Foodie Girl, and today we're going to be making feta cheese. A beautiful, briny, salty feta cheese, just like you remember. It goes great in all your pasta dishes, fabulous on a platter with some crackers and some relish. You can cook with it, you can put it in salads. It keeps for months and months and months. So let's get started. What we're going to need today to make our feta is 2 cups or 310 grams of blanched almonds. We need them blanched. We don't want natural almonds. We need the skin off for this recipe. 2 tablespoons of agar-agar powder, which is a vegan setting agent you can find at most health food shops. For the feta itself, we will need half a teaspoon of salt. It can be table salt, sea salt, whatever salt you've got in the cupboard. And we will need 1 cup of your homemade Rejuvelac. If you haven't got any homemade Rejuvelac, there's a recipe below for how to make it, but you can also use a cup of the liquid that is out of sauerkraut. For the brine, after we've made the feta, we will need 3/4 of a cup of salt and about 6 cups of water. So the first step is to cover your blanched almonds with water. We need to soak these for a fair while. Unlike cashews, which soak and soften quite quickly, almonds take a long time. So cover them with some cold water, pop them aside for between 12 to 24 hours, and then we're gonna make our feta. Our almonds have been soaking for about 24 hours. Mine have actually been soaking for about 48 because I went bushwalking, so I just left them in the fridge. I often soak mine a bit longer than 24 hours anyway because I like them really soft, because I don't like any grainy texture to my feta at all. I'm going to rinse these and drain them, and then we're going to come back and we're going to blend them up with our Rejuvelac and our salt. Our rinsed and drained almonds are going to go into your high-speed blender along with your 1 cup of Rejuvelac and your half a teaspoon of salt. And we're going to blend those on high speed until they're really smooth. So if you were to take a little bit out and mush it between your fingers, you won't find any grainy texture at all. Make sure you scrape down the sides of your blender every now and then, because you want to get any chunky bits that might have gone up. You can see that's starting to get smoother, but it's still got a little bit of a grainy texture. There's a few little chunks in there. So we're going to keep blending that for a bit longer until it's really nice and smooth. So mine's been blending in my Thermomix for about 3 minutes now. And when I go like this, I can't feel any grainy texture. That's the sign that the mixture is ready, yum, to be fermented. We're going to pop that into a bowl. It's really important that your bowl has a non-permeable lid. So either like my bowl, it just has a lid that comes with it, or some tight Glad wrap over the top. We want to sit that on the bench for 1 to 2 days until it just starts to go tart. The temperature in your kitchen will determine how long it sits on the bench for. What you're looking for is just the hint of tartness. You don't want to take it past that because it's going to continue to ferment once it's in the fridge. So just looking for that hint of tang. Making sure I get it all out, because this is going to be delicious homemade feta. The great thing about this feta is that it's got that salty, briny taste that you probably remember if you ever ate cow's milk feta, but without the cow's milk. And it's also got the Rejuvelac in it. Rejuvelac helps to ferment the feta, but the other thing about Rejuvelac is that it's full of good bacteria to feed the microbiome in your gut. So I'm going to pop a lid on it now, and then that is going to sit on my bench. It's quite warm at the moment, for probably about a day. I'll taste it late this afternoon, see if it's tangy. If not, I'll just wait till the morning, and by then it's very likely to be tangy enough. Back again, a day and a half later, our almond mixture has just been fermenting on my bench. So what we need to do now is we're moving into the solidifying stage. We're going to use our agar powder and our 2/3 to 1 cup of water, and we're going to use that to help solidify this mixture into our feta cheese. We need to start by popping the water and the agar powder into a pot and just giving it a bit of a whisk to dissolve it. There's no heat on yet, we're just dissolving the powder. Once this is dissolved, we're going to pop a lid on it and we're going to bring it to a very gentle boil or a high simmer. You need to keep the lid on it. Don't peak too early, because what you will see is the agar will solidify into a gel, and if you peak too early, you'll think it's ruined. It will go from that gel back into a liquid. That takes about 3 or 4 minutes. So we're going to pop the lid on, we're going to pop it on. And we're going to let that come to a simmer. It'll go hard like a gel. It'll then re-soften. I've used the full cup of water because I don't like an extremely firm feta or a rubbery feta. If you like something that's firmer, then just use 2/3 of a cup of water. While our agar powder is simmering away, we need to get a mould ready for our feta cheese. You can just use any old casserole dish or Tupperware container. I'm just using an old tofu press that I have, and we're just going to line it with some cheesecloth. I always find it easier if you wet the cheesecloth first, so I've just wet an old nut milk bag, and I'm just going to line my mould with that. This needs to be ready because from the time that we are ready to add our almond mixture to the agar, it's a very quick process. So get this ready now. The other thing that we're going to get ready while we are waiting for our agar mixture is the brine that this is going to soak in. So for the brine, you'll need about 3/4 of a cup of salt and about 6 cups of water. You'll notice my salt looks discoloured. It's because I'm using smoked salt. I've already got a batch of normal feta in the fridge, and I really like a smoked feta. So by using some smoked salt in my almond mixture and in the brine, it just gives a gentle smoky flavour to the feta, which is really, really tasty. To prepare the brine, we're going to add our salt and our 6 cups of water. You need sea salt for this, and because it's quite coarse, I prepare mine well in advance so the salt's got lots of time to dissolve, so at least a few hours to dissolve. And once again, ignore the dirty colour of my water, that's purely the smoked salt. I've got a clear lid on my pot, and so I can see it's actually simmering now. So I'm going to give it a couple of minutes, maybe about 3 minutes to simmer and fully dissolve and go back into a liquid. And then what we're going to do is we're going to tip our almond mixture into the pot, and we're going to whisk it really, really quickly. It's important that you add the almond to the pot, not the other way around. The agar will cool and solidify in an instant. So if you just try and pour this into this, you're going to get a big glump of agar in the middle, and it's not going to be distributed through the almond mixture. So add your almond to the pot with your pot still on its very low temperature, and that way you can whisk it and get it evenly dispersed through your almond mixture. I'm going to lift the lid off just so you can see what's happening underneath. So you can see it looks solidified. If you were to peek at this stage, you're like, oh my goodness, I've done something wrong. Just give it a few minutes longer, about 3 minutes, and it will go back to a liquid. Beautiful. We've got a liquid, bubbly, thick mixture now. Now what we want to do is we want to work really quickly, and we want to add the feta into our agar and whisk it. And you can see that's going nice and thick, and that agar is evenly distributed through. It's quite hard to stir. And now we're going to take it off and we're going to pop it into our mould. And you can see the mixture has almost gone fluffy, it's glossy, it's aerated, and that means our agar has been evenly put through the mixture. We're going to pat this down, smooth over the top. Hey, sorry, cat, no dog bird. Sorry about the cat. She has a sneaky habit of jumping up because even she likes the feta, which is weird because there's absolutely no cow's milk in this feta. Alrighty, this now needs to sit in the fridge for a few hours to go firm, and then we're going to come back and we're going to pop it into our brine. Our feta mixture has been in the fridge for about 3 hours to firm up. So we're going to get it out of the mould now and we're going to be popping it into our brine. So you can see it's nice and firm now. Mine's got weird little ears from my mould. Now we want to pop it into the brine, but we want to get lots of the briny flavour through the feta. So instead of just popping it in one big chunk, we're going to slice it into a few pieces first and then pop it into our brine. So remove the cheesecloth. And I'm going to cut mine probably into about 3 pieces. And then this is going to go into the brine at room temperature for about 8 hours. After 8 hours, we can put it in the container that we're going to store it in the fridge. What we will do is we will place it in that container, we'll fill it halfway with brine, and then we'll top it up with water. I don't have a container big enough to hold the brine and my feta, so hence popping it in a large bowl. Perfect. And that's just going to stay like that for 8 hours. My lovely smoky brine is going to go through the feta. Whether you use a smoke salt or a normal sea salt, you need to leave it in there to ferment at room temperature for at least 8 hours before we move it to its final home in the fridge. Our feta has been soaking in the brine for about 8 hours. And now what we need to do is we need to separate it, dilute the brine, and store it in the fridge. Now, if you've got a container big enough that all your feta can go into it with half of your brine and some extra water, that's great. I've only got some small containers, so I normally just separate mine into 3 different containers. You can see I've done one here already, and all you're going to do is you're going to pop a piece of your feta in, you're going to fill it halfway up with your salty brine, then you're going to top it up with a little bit of water. Fill it halfway up with some of that nice salty brine. Remember, mine looks discoloured because of the smoke through it. Probably a little bit too much, but that's okay. And then we're going to top it up with just some water. So half brine, half water. And then this is going to go into the fridge. So we want it to sit for about 3 weeks in the fridge before you can dive into your delicious feta. It can stay in the fridge for months and months. The longer you leave it, the better the flavour. So you can store it in your fridge up to 3 or 4 months, but make sure you wait at least 3 weeks before you tuck into it. Perfect. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video, guys. If you have, please give it a like and subscribe, and I'll see you back in the Vegan Foodie Girl kitchen next time.